Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Murray and welcome to another episode of The Gift of Giving. For those tuning in for the first time, this program focuses on those who are in the trenches, working for non-profits, foundations and 501c3s right here in the state of Nevada, making our corner of the world a better and brighter place. This week we'll be celebrating the start of summer, a time when we indulge in baseball, trips, picnics in the parks, and our guest this week represents the Southern Nevada Conservancy, who take care of our parks and recreation areas right here in Southern Nevada. Please welcome board member John Lintz. John, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I hope you're going to help us dispel the myth nationally and worldwide that Nevada is one giant flat desert. We're not. So
That's correct.
Please give us a brief overview of your organization.
So the Southern Nevada Conservancy is just celebrated our 36th year.
Wow.
So we were founded in 1988, and we were founded as a Red Rock Interpretive Association.
Okay.
And that was really a focus around helping people understand the importance of our public lands and why we need to conserve them, because they're disappearing at an unreal rate, even to this day. And the best way to avoid having our public lands and the treasures that are on them disappear is to educate our public.
Yes.
Because as children are educated, they grow up and they're aware of the importance of our public lands and the many advantages that come from conserving them and protecting them.
Yeah.
And so as we went along our journey, we began to recognize that there were many other opportunities for us to support the governmental agencies that we partner with. So we partner with the Bureau of Land Management, the Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Forestry Service. Each one independently, but sometimes we also partner together as a group. So an example of that would be the gathering that we put on at Mount Charleston for the Southern Paiute tribes. The Nuwu peoples really needed a venue that they could come to celebrate their heritage and also celebrate what they do today. So many times our indigenous peoples' history overwhelms current times. And what they're doing in current times is very important. It's a rich cultural heritage, and we don't want to lose that. So as we went along, we began to add in different things. So for example, at Red Rock Conservation Area, we started off with interpretive programs, and we ultimately moved into the gift shop. So we operate the gift shop there, the fee booth, and we also, from time to time, provide staffing. So both part-time and full-time staffing. And then within the Spring Mountain Preserve, that's Mount Charleston. For a lot of people that don't realize that. Everybody knows what Mount Charleston is, but they don't necessarily know that that's part of the Spring Mountains.
Company is one of them.
And so if you go to GoMountCharleston.com, you can see all about that. But we added that in, and we also added in the National Desert Wildlife Refuge Complex. So there's Ash Meadows, there's Desert National Wildlife Refuge out at Corn Creek, there's Moapa Valley, and then there's Pahranagat. And they are beautiful areas of public lands. And then we also do the California Trails Interpretive Center up in Elko. Well, you might say, well, John, that's not in Southern Nevada. No, it's not. The Southern Nevada is a name that came when we had originally the Red Rock Interpretive Center, or Interpretive Association, and then we began to work with other governmental agencies, and so we created the Southern Nevada Conservancy. And back in 2016, we merged those two together and became one entity.
Wow. Boy, that's a lot that you're doing there. And I think it's nice that you got the one with indigenous people, because I think they've got more of a respect for Mother Nature than the rest of the population. I mean, they revere Mother Earth. They just do. So it's nice that...
It's an amazing culture.
Yes.
It's an amazing culture, and we want to protect and enhance that as an organization. And that's something that we can talk about going forward. We are looking at expanding our programs around Indigenous peoples.
Yes, we will talk about that later in the program, about expansions to other areas and things like that. You did mention Moapa Valley, so do you cover Valley of Fire as well?
No, we do.
No,
that's not part of us.
That's not part of you. I didn't see it on your website, but when you said Moapa Valley, I thought it might be. What was the catalyst, John, that made you get involved as a board member on this organization?
Well, I've been a member of Conservancy organizations all my life. I mean, back in elementary school, I took part in programs with World Wildlife Association, World Wildlife Federation. And I'm from Georgia originally, so I was part of the Georgia Conservancy. And I've served on boards, and I've served as individual contributor in many nonprofit organizations related to conservation and the environment. I'm a endurance hiker, so within the last couple of years I've crossed the Grand Canyon and rim to rim in one day. I've climbed Mount Whitney in one day, and I've hiked the bulk of the trails down in the southern Nevada area, and also many up in northern Nevada and California. So I actually originally went to the University of Georgia to become a zoologist. I was engaged at the time. My wife-to-be said, "How much do they make?" And I told her, and she said, "Why don't you look at something else?" So I have tremendous respect for those people that are in service as rangers, as naturalists, as wildlife biologists in our public lands, because while it's a passion for them, they also make something of a sacrifice. We need to support them as much as we can, because very often they don't have the resources they need to be able to do their jobs in the best possible way. And if we can support that, that's part of our mission too.
Yes. Noble goals, noble goals. I do like the fact that you mentioned earlier that Southern Nevada does have some real treasures when it comes, and treasures is the key word, because Mount Charleston it's a natural beauty, and Red Rock Canyon, you go through that scenic drive there, it's just incredibly magnificent. It just really is.
Yes, it is.
You're doing a wonderful job on that. I'd like to take a little bit of a sponsorship break here, and we're going to be right back. And please stay with us. We'll be back in a few moments.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at pacificcoastcap.com.
Welcome back, everyone, and I'd like to thank Pacific Coast Capital for the sponsorship of this program. For any of you businesses out there that are having cash flow issues, certainly reach out to them. They'll be happy to help you out. And welcome back, John. And in this section, I'd like to talk about the in-the-field programs you have, the in-the-classroom programs, and some of the special projects that you have going. So let's talk first about the in-the-field programs that you have.
So we have programs that are for a wide range of constituencies. We have about 5 million visitors come to the public lands that we participate in. And so we like an integrated approach. So part of that is rangers taking children or adults along trails or through interpretive areas where there are different things that they need to understand about being able to conserve our natural resources, all of the different history associated with it, whether it be wildlife or geological. And then we incorporate that with a gift store in all of our public lands that have items in the gift store, like books, for example, that people can further their education. So we like to take an holistic approach. We will send our rangers out and our interpretive specialists out to classrooms if teachers want to have a program in classroom. But we also find that bringing children out into the wilderness is really the best way to educate them.
Oh, sure.
Because, as you know, in our culture, the kids have gotten into the online world. They're digital natives. They grew up with cell phones and internet. When I grew up, I left the house at dawn or maybe a little after, and I arrived back home in time for dinner when it got dark. And I just roamed. I roamed the fields and the forest, and I went everywhere, right? And I caught crayfish in the creeks, and I caught snakes and lizards, and I had a full immersion into our ecology. Kids today don't have that. And
do you not get schools doing field trips out?
we absolutely do.
You do get those.
Right. Many of the interpretive programs are focused on school-age children, and they'll bring out whole classrooms or multiple classrooms, and we take them through a program, and we work with them in advance to explain the things that we're going to be working through. We try to integrate that in with their classroom teachings, because then you reinforce the things that the teachers are bringing to their students through practical exposure, direct exposure.
Well, I saw on your website you have an in the classroom segment as one of your programs.
Yes.
Now, is that where you work in conjunction with them and
That's correct.
arrange for them to come out, or do you go and speak to
Both.
some of the? So
We
you do both.
Right.
So they come to you and you go to them.
Right.
Perfect.
Yes.
And how do these get arranged? Do you reach out to the schools to see if you go and speak, or do you work with the Clark County School District as a whole, and they set up
it's a
these
mix.
things? A mix.
It's a mix. Yeah. A lot of it has to do with existing relationships. We've been doing this for 36 years.
Yes.
Now, a lot of people don't know that Southern Nevada Conservancy does all the interpretive programs at Red Rock and at Mount Charleston, at the Wildlife Refuge, and the California Trails, because they know Red Rock.
Yes.
That's probably, you're going to ask me what one of my biggest problems is. It's that people don't know who Southern Nevada Conservancy is, and they abbreviate it to S&C. No one knows what S&C is. So we will be, over the coming time, looking to enhance the branding, so to speak, of Southern Nevada Conservancy, because we have been around for 36 years. We intend to be around for a lot longer, and we're ramping up a number of programs. But we believe that coordination with educational professionals is essential to the future of our public lands. And
Yes.
so we're very committed to that.
Yes, because we do have a lot here we have a lot here, not only in Southern Nevada, but in Northern Nevada. There's a lot of great areas up there as well.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
One thing I did want to find out is the Wildlife Refuge. I have to be honest, I've lived here 21 years. I have no idea where that is.
It's a well-kept secret, unfortunately.
Yes, I guess so.
It's right up 95, about 20 minutes from here.
Really?
And it's
So
off
it's
to the
just
right.
past Mount
It's
Charleston,
off to
then?
the right. Yep, it's very near there, very near the turnoff. And actually, you can go down to the visitor center, but then there are dirt trails up by Gas Peak, and actually dirt roads that will go all the way over to 93, 72 miles away.
Oh my.
So you can take a four-wheel drive vehicle and go out into that area, into that refuge, and there's some incredible things to see there. I mean, I'm a hiker, I climb mountains, so Gas Peak is beautiful. You get up on top of Gas Peak and you can see forever. It's a beautiful vista. But then as you get back into the different roads, there's all kinds of things that you can see back in the deserts. Wildlife, You know, the National Desert Wildlife Refuge, a lot of people don't realize, except for the birders. The birders know it's there because it's along a major migratory way. And so we have at that area and around the visitor center many trails that take you out through springs, because there's natural springs back there. That's why the birds stop there.
Yes.
And so the birders know very well about the wildlife refuges.
Yes.
Yes.
But
one of the things that we do out at Mount Charleston, for example, is we have different events that bring people out. So we had a gathering of the Southern Paiute tribes, the Nuwu people, in February. We also had a speaker series of women scientists. That we have a beautiful amphitheater out there that's great for different events. We also do the same sort of thing up in Mount Charleston. So we have Stargazer series and that sort of thing. They'll be June, July, and August this year. And you know, so having events that people want to come to is something that we think is really important for increasing visitor traffic and more awareness of our natural resources within the Las Vegas area. And so we'll begin to do some of that out in the National Wildlife Refuge as well. We also do programs within Las Vegas. So we go to various events as a nonprofit entity, and we set up a table and we educate people about our public lands in the area.
I'm interested in your Stargazer series. Well, I didn't see anything on your website. Will the dates and times be put out there?
If you go to our events page, we have all the events, most of the events that are currently on the calendar right now. We have events for visitors that want to learn. We have events for hosts. So we do a lot of host training, and we're working towards an accreditation program for interpretive trail hosts so that they can become accredited, and it brings the whole sort of educational process up a level.
Gotcha.
Right now, most of them, well, they all have degrees. They're very well educated, but are they communicators, right? Are they able to do crowd control, right? Those are things that need to be discussed with people, and it's not just our folks. There's many organizations that have a commitment to public lands, to conservation, and we want to make sure that they all have skill sets that best are able to communicate to the people that need to learn. Wow. And so we'll be building on an accreditation program around that sort of towards the end of the summer.
Yeah, sounds like you've got lots of plans to get the word out about what you're doing and who you are.
Yes.
Coming up this year, which is great, because you are a great organization. You do a lot for protecting these lands and gain no appreciation or no acknowledgement. So it's great that you've got plans for expansion. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the special projects that you have? You've got some special.
Yeah, I mentioned projects. A couple of the ones that we've already had this year. Yes. This weekend, on the 18th, although I think this is going to be aired after this event.
Yes.
We have the spring cleaning up at Mount Charleston. That's going to be sponsored by NV Energy. And they've been a great sponsor of ours over the years. And they help bring a lot of volunteers out. The last cleaning that we did, we cleaned up 11,000 pounds of trash in one day.
Wow. I didn't realize that we were
big number. Well, when you have millions
so
of
bad
people,
at just dropping trash. And I did see, I think, on your website that over the years you cleared over 50 tons. I think it said 50 tons, and that was a real eye opener.
And the last, we have a tree planting coming up. It's to be determined what date, but the last one we did, we planted 6,500 trees in one day. So we have to have a lot of volunteers to help in those kinds of programs.
Yes. We're going to be talking about volunteers in the next segment, and how you get volunteers and what you're looking for in volunteers. We'll talk about that after the sponsorship break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Individual investors use IRAs and trust accounts. Employers use 401ks, 403bs, and corporate accounts. As a full-service financial institution, we at Lucia Capital Group help individuals and families as they work towards achieving their goals, whether it's managing your investments, implementing income and tax strategies, or managing risks towards enjoying a steady cash flow in retirement without the worry of the stock market volatility. Lucia Capital Group has a strategy for you. We also help employers manage employee benefits such as 401ks, 403bs, disability, life insurance, and so much more. Lucia Capital Group has served the Las Vegas area for more than 20 years. You should not let the volatility of the stock market determine your retirement future. I'm Joshua Dowdy. Whether you're an individual investor looking to manage your nest egg, or an employer looking to offer new benefits or manage an existing plan, we can help. Call me today for your free consultation. 702-508-6421. That's 702-508-6421.
Welcome back, everyone, and I'd like to thank our sponsor, Joshua Darden of Lucia Capital Group. If you're a company that's looking for a 401k to be reevaluated or to start a retirement, please reach out to Joshua. He'll be an incredible help for you. And I'd like to welcome back John Lynch from the Southern Nevada Conservancy. Thanks for being with us today and giving us some information on your organization. So we were talking about special projects and events that you have planned, and you have one upcoming project, Green the Mountain. Would you like to talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's an important one.
It absolutely is. It's actually being done in conjunction with National Public Lands Day. Again, NV Energy will be the headline sponsor for that. And you know, that's something that we believe is really important. In the middle of the summer to do a nice second cleaning, right? Because I mentioned 11,000 pounds. That was just over a few months that was accumulated. And we cleaned that up in one day. But unfortunately, and this is why education is so important, our visitors don't always understand how important it is to leave it better than you found it. They don't understand the concepts of leave no trace. We need to educate them in that. And so having volunteers come up and see the volumes of trash that visitors leave behind is really, really important, because then they talk to their friends about it. So word of mouth can carry a message better than any commercial on TV, right?
No question about it. No question about it. You mentioned earlier about volunteers. You get volunteers to help out. Is your organization mainly manned by volunteers, or you have paid staff, or is it a mixture of both?
We have approximately 50 employees that are full-time employees. We have some part-time employees, but we also rely heavily on volunteers. Tens of thousands of volunteers participate in our programs every year, and they do everything from National Trails Day walks and hikes to a cleaning of the mountain, to planting trees. There's just a lot of things that our volunteers do. We even have volunteers in some of our smaller areas where there's just not a lot of visitors coming in, but there's a need for staff. So there's not a lot of budget. I mean, the federal government doesn't always fund everything the way it needs to be funded to the best effect. And so that's part of why we exist, is to help them with that. But volunteers are also really important in that. So for example, in some of our smaller areas where we have gift shops, we have a mix of employees and volunteers that operate those facilities. And that helps us spread the donations and the contributions that people provide a little bit further.
And the volunteers, I'm assuming you have a a core base of volunteers that's in your database that you can rely upon to sort of turn up at every event that you have, or almost every event?
We do. That being said, we have a lot of new people every time because we also rely on corporations. Most corporations have corporate social responsibility programs that incent their employees to volunteer. We take advantage of that wherever we can.
Good. Yeah. Are there any qualifications, or you just want them to show up and be prepared to help out? You'll train them if they're coming to help plant trees. You'll say there'll be people say, this is what you need to do. Here's your seeds, or here's your little bushes. Here's your corner. Is that how it works?
It really depends on what they're going to be doing. For some of the day events, yes, they come up. They don't need to know anything. We'll teach them everything they need to know to volunteer. There are other roles where there's a deeper level of training. So we have training programs that train our volunteers that are part of our programs. So they have an ongoing involvement. They might do some interpretive programs with our support. They might take people on hikes just to get them out and show them the lands that we have under our purview. So it really depends, but we have a different level for the different level of volunteer. And
now you mentioned earlier about the government financial assistance, if you want to call it that. How do you get funded? You touched on the government, but you also get help from corporations, state government, individual donations?
So we generally have cooperative agreements with government agencies, and that brings in funding through operations, the gift store, the fee booths, and so forth. We also have memberships. So anybody can become a member of the Southern Nevada Conservancy. We encourage that. And they can do it in a variety of ways. They can make a one-time gift. They can become actually a member, a sustaining member, where there's an annual or a monthly payment that they have. When I first got involved, I just had an automatic payment taken on my credit card. It's very easy. I don't even miss it. And so, there's a lot of ways that people can contribute to Southern Nevada Conservancy. But we also work with corporations for grants. Some of the grants are restricted to a particular purpose. Other grants are a little broader. One of the biggest challenges for a nonprofit is, how do you cover overhead? If your grants only cover the work that you're doing with them, then your overhead has to be covered somewhere.
Yes.
Right? That's financial accounting. I mean, reporting is very important to the government. They like to see the numbers. There's communications. Communications are really important to get the word out about programs, to encourage people to visit. HR. We hire a lot of people. There's a lot of turnover in our economy, right? We have about 50 people, and so we have HR professionals that help support those folks. But, excuse me, what I've discovered is that because the government has quite a lot of bureaucracy when it comes to hiring, we can bring someone on board and make that person available as a ranger, for example, on the public lands at a fraction of the time that it would take for a government employee to be hired. And so we've actually got almost a staffing activity that we do.
Yes.
And more we're being asked to do that. And so that's something that we are beefing up in our organization, because it's really important to have people on the ground. There's so many open recs right now in government, and they just can't hire fast enough. And so we can step in and help them accelerate that process, and they become kind of like a professional employee organization in the for-profit world. We're kind of doing that within the nonprofit and the governmental agencies. Yeah.
I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, John. It's just amazing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
To preserve what we have here in Nevada. the treasures and the land management is fantastic. Would you like to let people know your website and phone number where people can reach out and get in touch with you?
So yes, it would be great if you could go to southernnevadaconservancy.org, and I got two cameras here.
That one.
southernnevadaconservancy.org, and all the information is on there for phone numbers, to donate, for our events and activities. We'd love to have you come out, and I'm available all the time. I am a non-paid volunteer as the president of the board, but I'm available all the time to the Southern Nevada Conservancy. I get very involved, and we have a great executive director, Miles Woodruff, and he'd be happy to hear from you.
And thank you, John, for being on this program.
Thank you so much.
Fully appreciate you taking the time out from a day and sharing with us what your organization does.
Thank you, sir.
And,
I really do appreciate it.
I hope the viewers will have enjoyed this program. And I'd also like to thank our show's producer, John Stiles, and station owner, for allowing me to host this program. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Lucia Capital Group and Pacific Coast Capital, and RJ Champion, whose message you'll hear right at the end of this program. I'd certainly like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in. I hope you found this informative. If you know of anyone who would be interested in volunteering, donating, or learning more about this Southern Nevada Conservancy, please share this interview with them. I know it would be appreciated. And if you have any comments or questions, please reach out to me, Stephen at thegiftofgiving.vegas, and I'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, please stay safe, be kind to one another, and please join us again next week. Thank you. Goodbye.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDBTV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.